Episode 5 of Lucky begins with the aftermath of the car chase in the previous chapter. Lucky, on foot now, finds the cars that got into a collision due to the chase and gets inside one of them. She pretends to be a victim, the granddaughter of the old woman who was driving. She gets to the hospital with the ambulance and sees Agent Rand being admitted as well. A few minutes later, she passes out. She awakens in a bed sometime later and grabs her things, and in the bathroom she comes across Agent Rand's daughter, Dana, who's upset because the last thing she told her mother was that she hated her. Lucky comforts her and then leaves, heading to a nearby hotel to book a room for the night. Now Peter Kershaw arrives at the hospital to visit Agent Rand here and tells her that Carrie's dead but Lucky's in the wind. Rand tells him Lucky will still be in the area, but Kershaw tells her to rest. Elsewhere, Priscilla gives Dutch the orders for Carrie's cremation and memorial. She also tells him to inform Whitaker about this. In a hotel room, a flashback shows little Lucky asking her father if they're bad people. He compares what they do to a lion killing an antelope, basically a survival tactic. At present, Lucky gets a drink at the bar, where a man who missed his flight starts a conversation with her. For once, she's actually honest and tells him her husband died in a car wreck. She laments their fight and the man buys her another drink. Meanwhile, Dutch is awoken by the sound of Priscilla shooting trophies in her yard. She asks Dutch if Carrie's death is her fault, and Dutch tries to offer some comfort. In the morning, Agent Rand leaves the hospital against the doctor's advice, and Lucky steals a car from the hotel and heads out. At Carrie's memorial, Priscilla finds that she can't be around so many people. She takes the urn and goes to the beach, spreading his ashes in the water. Lucky shows up and tells Priscilla that the money is gone, since Carrie never told her where he actually kept it. She tells Priscilla she doesn't want to keep running, but Priscilla doesn't give her a choice. She has to find the money. In a car, Lucky vents her frustration out on the teddy bear that Carrie left her with. A recorded voice inside starts reading out the 12 passwords required to get into Carrie's laptop. Agent Rand goes home and starts working on her laptop. Dana sees a picture of Lucky and tells her she saw her in the hospital. Rand calls Gates and tells him to keep this between them. As for Priscilla, she takes the urn and goes to see Whitaker, who we now learn is Carrie's father. Whitaker doesn't seem to care though, and he pulls a gun on Priscilla and tells her to get his money back. In prison, John suddenly learns that he's getting out despite having 8 years left on his sentence. He leaves the prison to find a cab waiting for him and a black car driving away. He calls Lucky and tells her what's happened. Lucky thinks it was Rand who did it in order to smoke Lucky out. The two meet and Lucky tells him she has the money. He asks her what her plan is and she says he's not going to like it. The episode ends with John and Lucky giving themselves up to Agent Rand. Episode 6 of Lucky begins with John talking about a pastor named Billy Grace and how his powers of speech convinced people to donate a lot of money, including John's father. John tried to steal a 20, but his other caught him and made him give it back to the pastor. That night, John stole the pastor's whole collection plate and got himself $900. At present, John tells Lucky the whole story and they talk about her first gig as well. As Rand approaches, John talks about their next move and Lucky says she knows what Rand wants. Agents Rand and Gates enter the room and make it clear that Lucky and her father will be going to prison for life, considering the events that have taken place over the last few days. Lucky caves and asks her what she wants, to which Rand says she wants her to get both Priscilla and Whitaker. Agent Rand gets pulled away by her boss Kershaw, who berates her for going over his head to the Department of Justice. She tells him she's going to get Priscilla and Whitaker. Rand returns to Lucky and John and they finalise the deal together. Lucky will help them get the big bosses if Rand exonerates her and tries to get John a reduced sentence. They then move to a hotel where Lucky tells her father she's ready to stop running. Later, he realises that Lucky has no plans of getting the money back from Rand and the two start arguing. The topic moves to Lucky's childhood, with John believing he gave her a happy childhood, but with Lucky recalling how scared she actually was. Ultimately, Lucky reveals that she worked with Rand and was the reason John got arrested in the first place. He claims he lost everything because of her and then goes to sleep. The next day, Rand gives them both some papers to sign. After Lucky leaves for her mission, John accuses Rand of sending Lucky into the lion's den. She points out that it's his fault she's involved in the first place. Lucky drives out to Priscilla's place and tells her she has the money but wants to give it to Wayne personally. Priscilla says he never does meetings, but Lucky says it's this or nothing else. Priscilla agrees to talk to Wayne. However, when Lucky suggests meeting at the Regency Hotel, Priscilla says Whitaker will choose the location. Now before she leaves, Lucky asks Priscilla how she found Carrie in La Jolla. She says that Wayne found him. Lucky returns to Rand and tells her she couldn't convince Priscilla to organise the meeting at the hotel, so they'll need to improvise. Lucky's then taken to the hotel where her father admits he didn't know what he was doing with Lucky when her mother passed. He apologises and says he should have figured out a way to get her out of this life instead. He assures her that he loves her and she hugs him in return. That night, Lucky gets a call with a new location for meeting Whittaker. The next day, Rand and her team set up a hidden button mic on Lucky's clothes. They give her a phone and tell her to make sure Whittaker logs into his account on that phone. That's when the FBI will move in. Before they leave, John tells Lucky to keep his eye on Priscilla because she gets more dangerous and unpredictable when she's around Whittaker. Rand listens to all of this through the mic. Gates stays behind at the hotel to keep an eye on John. They're playing a game of cards when Gates hears something. When he doesn't hear back from his colleague, he goes outside and gets attacked by two men. The episode then ends as someone bursts into John's room. So while episode 5 kept the cogs moving, episode 6 is a solid penultimate chapter that builds everything up for a final confrontation. There's not a lot of movement across this and the previous chapter, and the going is certainly slow after such a pulsating opening to the season, but the episode does a good job of establishing the slowly mounting tension as Lucky puts herself in a dangerous position. It certainly sets a tense mood, with the pulsing background score underlining the feeling even more. There are a lot of conversations here as well, and the episode certainly lingers over them all. John muses over his own past, talks to Rand about children, and to Gates about how he doesn't really see himself as the thief. Lucky gets cryptic warnings from Priscilla too, who laments their choice in men. It's all fairly intriguing, if not entirely outright riveting, and keeps the momentum of the show going as it heads for one last fight. Emotions take precedence as Lucky and her father find their relationship under the spotlight, and finally have a candid conversation about her childhood. Now John's speech here, in which he apologises to her, is a particularly moving one as well, since it seems like Lucky needed to hear that. It definitely makes it seem like John is changing for the better by letting Lucky do things her way. All in all, this is a good place to be right before the season comes to an end. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.